and welcome back to the Dune Minute Podcast, your place to dive deep, minute by minute, into the cinematic adaptation of Frank Herbert's world of Dune. I am, of course, one of your hosts, Zach.
And I'm John.
And we are back on a lovely Monday. I hope it's lovely anyways. We're recording this in the past. It is currently Easter today.
It is. And that's probably the only time we're going to talk about it.
Yep. Happy Easter for those who celebrate. If not, happy Sunday, normal Sunday for you.
Braves game is one out from being over, so we're not going to have anything to talk about with that this week either. So
Nope. I will say, though, man, I brought you a plate of food today.
You did. And oh, buddy. All right. So your family, all very good cooks.
Oh, of course.
I'm eyeing this plate. I'm waiting for these recordings to be over and for you to leave, so it's just me and that plate later.
We will spare the misophonia people. We'll spare you the munching and the chewing in the mic.
We'll spare everyone the munching and the chewing in the mic.
But it's good. We got barbecue brisket. We got barbecue chicken. We got some baked beans. We got rolls. There's some cornbread. There's some mac and cheese in there. It is just a classic barbecue plate.
Love it.
And then a whole litany of pies.
And cobblers.
And there's so my mom made a strawberry cobbler. She'd made a lemon icebox pie. I don't know. This was a new one for her. It was good.
Melted by the time it got here.
It melted a little bit, yeah. Her famous at least to me, chocolate pie, and then there's a key lime pie that was bought from Publix.
As is expected for any Southern gathering, someone brings something from Publix inevitably.
Hey, I'm not going to kick it out for eating...
No.
I'm not going to kick it out of bed for eating crackers.
Certainly not.
It's a good pie. So, yes, enjoy that, because it was a hell of a good lunch today.
Yeah, it looks like a great one.
Well, I am on the verge of falling asleep, I feel like, because I've had a day already. We are recording this later in the day than we normally do because of the aforementioned family lunch. And I am so full, and your couch is very comfortable. So I feel like if we don't get through these minutes, I'm going to just fall asleep.
It's nice and cool and dark in this room, too, so it's perfect sleeping.
Yes. So what do you say we get into it? And let's talk about minute 30 through 31. We didn't mention this on Friday of last week, but we've made it through 30 minutes of this movie.
We have. We have now made it through 30 minutes.
We have now made it through 30 minutes of this movie.
Congratulations.
Congrats to you.
And we're going to have a milestone, I think, next week, too.
Ooh, yes, we will, but that is for next week.
Yeah.
So, where'd we leave off? We left off mid-conversation with Stilgar and Paul.
Yep.
Paul was about to go out into the desert for his little walkabout. And Stilgar was...
Across the Erg.
Across the Erg is what he said, yep. And Stilgar was in the process of warning him about all the things that he could encounter.
Besides the worms.
So he gets the worms out first, and we pick right back up in mid-sentence as he says, and the Harkonnens. So besides the worm and the Harkonnens, beware of the trapdoor spiders. Which is a legit warning. I hate spiders. Do not like them. So, yeah.
They're our friends, Zach.
I don't kill them. I just don't like them.
All right.
I know they serve a wonderful purpose.
A very important purpose
yes.
in local ecologies. So.
I usher them out the door gently if I find them in my place.
All right.
So besides the worms, the Harkonnens, the trapdoor spiders, he says centipedes are very nasty. Not the big ones.
They're harmless.
They're harmless, but the small ones.
And he places his hands about 2.5 feet apart from each other.
I love that. It's such a good little sight gag. It's so fucking funny.
The look that he gives too, and he's like the little ones, and he's got like both of his eyebrows raised up and everything.
And he's talking about centipedes.
Yeah,
100 legs.
Yep.
100 legs.
Right. You're right because
millipedes is 1,000 legs. Yep, got it.
Yep.
Do you know the biggest centipede on Earth?
No, but if I had to take a guess, it's probably somewhere in Southeast Asia.
Incorrect.
Okay. South America?
Correct.
All right. If I had to guess, it's probably about 2.5 feet long.
Incorrect.
All right.
12 inches.
Oh, okay.
Up to 12 inches in length. It is the Scolopendra gigantea, a.k.a. the Peruvian giant yellow leg centipede,
Ah, cool.
which can exceed 30
meters.
which can exceed 30 centimeters or 12 inches. So I guess it could be up to 2.5 feet, but usually exceeds 12 inches, 30 centimeters in length. This species is found in various parts of South America and preys on a wide range of animals, including small vertebrates and large arthropods.
You believe it.
So fuck that. Do not enjoy. I have dreams of going to Peru one day, and I fear running into one of those.
I've never been stung by a centipede. I've heard that centipede stings are horrible in terms of like pain scale. So have fun.
I've been stung by a caterpillar before. One of the spiky
One
ones.
of those like hairy ones, or
Well, spiky ones.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a legit, like, we were clearing some brush on the property that I grew up in, and one was on a branch. And,
Grabbed it.
well, it got me on the wrist.
Yeah.
And, was very painful. Not fun at all. We had to
Yay.
call poison control because we didn't know what the fuck it was.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, do not enjoy that. Thankfully, we do not have 2.5 feet
Little ones.
little ones. Yes. I wonder why the little ones are the ones you got to watch out for, where the big ones aren't.
I wonder if it's like a poison dart frog situation where like the tinier it is, the more like dangerous it is because it has
Yeah.
to compensate for more predators or whatever.
Fair. I'm also thinking like the Portuguese man of war jellyfish, real tiny ones but super poisonous.
Portuguese man o' wars can get fucking big. I think you're thinking of the blue ring octopus.
Maybe the little tiny ones. Yeah. Okay.
Super tiny
I
octopi.
am. You're right.
That people are like, oh, look at these. They're really cute. And then they like touch it and die
Yes.
basically immediately.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. But still, 2.5 feet is huge for a centipede.
But when you take into consideration Shai Hulud can grow, what, 450 meters long or some shit like that?
Fair enough. Yes.
Small by comparison.
So, Paul's got to watch out for these things. But this is not the only thing that Stilgar says that he has to watch out for. Stilgar gets all ominous in this moment and tells Paul to never listen to the Jinn. And that is spelled Jinn according to the subtitles.
Yep.
Alternate spelling Djinn if you want to spell it that way. What do you know about jinns?
My
Tom?
understanding is that the spellings are interchangeable. It's just like a matter of where you're from in terms of.
Yeah.
Well, so jinn are a thing that humans in our own world have, kind of come up with as a mythological creature. Pre-Islamic Arabia, they are not necessarily evil creatures. They're not necessarily good creatures. They're more just kind of like, in my very like basic understanding of them, is they're kind of like forces of nature that just kind of like fuck with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Not unlike nymphs from Greek mythology or, they kind of have their own agendas per se.
Yeah. They're little mischievous little spirits.
Yeah. They're just kind of there doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I know in Dune, little similar. They can be a little more antagonistic. And I don't know how far down the Dune Jinn rabbit hole you got, but in the Dune Encyclopedia, there's a very interesting story about how Muad'Dib gained his name Muad'Dib
Okay.
by confronting. I'm gonna fucking butcher this. Marid Alhin,
Okay.
Naib of all the Jinn. And that comes from Ibrahim al-Yazid's Fremen folktales from On.
Okay.
And I'm not going to read it because it's a very long story, but get yourself a copy of the Dune Encyclopedia. Read it. It's under, I think, Paul Atreides' like main, or one of his main entries. It's a fun little, tall tale.
I was about to say this.
Of Paul helping, coming across like this giant sand castle that he enters, and being, presented with a plate of, I think it's either dates or apricots or whatever.
Okay.
And he eats them, and then like this djinn, Marid Alhin, shows up and is like, "You ate my food, now I have to eat you." And he throws Paul in like a pit, and there's a little Muad'Dib mouse in there that he helps out.
Yeah.
And then the mouse, before it leaves, turns and says, "This good deed will return to you," or whatever. Paul then confronts like 4 or 5 other jinn that work for Marid.
Okay.
And then like it's ultimately a story of like Paul's trickery in outwitting all of the jinn.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. I don't remember reading this passage, but that's really cool. I'll have to go back and read it tonight.
It's pretty cool. Go check it out from the Dune Encyclopedia. If you just search jinn, there's like only 17 entries in the encyclopedia for it.
All from the story, pretty much.
Mostly. There's another entry, and we're gonna go into Dune Messiah stuff here, but it's like talking about how Paul's Muad'Dib's inspiration for the palace in Arrakeen that he built was inspired by, once again, Dune Encyclopedia doing its own weird shit, was inspired by the Temple of Jerusalem and how Solomon was able to control jinn. So there was a question of, did Muad'Dib have the same control over, these supernatural entities and direct the jinn to make this palace for him? It gets weird.
Sure. But, 3,500 years of storytelling and just word of mouth legends passing down.
Well, I mean,
that'll do that.
That's the other thing too with messianic, figures, is that people tend to over exaggerate a little bit.
Yeah, you make them larger than life.
Exactly. So, all of that to say,
well, cool.
There's some cool stuff in the Dune Encyclopedia about the jinn.
So Stilgar does not think they're very cool, unfortunately.
No.
He is saying, do not listen to them. They whisper at night and they can possess you, and that they are demons.
Yeah.
Then he tries to do like a ooga booga.
I love
He does an ooga booga at Paul. And
pretty sure the first time we saw that in the theater together, I audibly laughed at that.
Understandable. And then he chuckles himself. He knows he's being silly. But as soon as he gets done, acknowledging his silliness, he says, "No, but for real, they're demons." No, sorry. He says, "But it's true. Don't listen to them." So he clearly believes that they exist.
Yeah.
Whether or not they are as spooky as he's making it out to be, I think that is up for debate.
Well, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Yeah. Paul is looking not convinced here.
Paul's like, "All right, old man."
Yeah, this is clearly this is a ghost story. He's trying to scare me.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about this. I'm not listening to this. I'm listening to it, but I'm not believing it.
It's kind of like when, I don't know if you're older brothers or if you had uncles that like told you stories of like shit in the woods or whatever.
Oh, yes.
But you could definitely tell that they were like bullshitting as you got a little older and everything.
Yes, there was a few of those. As you remember, I grew up a mile into the woods from the main road. So we were in the middle of the woods, and there were plenty of those stories passed around between my older brothers and family members and stuff like that. So yeah, I get it. Never believed them, but always terrified me.
Yeah. Well, little 5-year-old Zach probably had some fear instilled in him somehow.
I still get uneasy being in the woods.
Being in the woods alone
Yeah.
is always a weird feeling.
But it's also like it's weirdly comforting to me, but it's also unsettling.
It depends on where you are and what time it is.
Sure.
So one of the things that I love about, and we are not in this, cultural band, but all of the stories you hear coming out of Appalachia and everything from the residents there and everything, and how they have their own entire subculture of all these tall tales and everything.
Yeah.
I love that shit. I think it's super cool.
That is old lore.
Yeah.
And because those mountains are super old.
Those mountains are older than just about everything else on Earth.
They've found caves that do not have microbial life or evidence of microbial life there.
Yeah.
Because those caves existed before cellular organisms did.
Those caves existed before the sharks did,
Yes.
before trees did.
Yeah, they're old. The only reason they aren't as tall as the Rockies is because they're
just
millions
worn
and
down.
millions of years old.
Billions.
Billions,
yeah. Yeah.
We got some old ass mountains, man, and
Hell
they've
yeah.
never really been underwater, which is the interesting part.
Yeah.
Like if you can trace those back to, or they have traced those back to like Pangea and like the early land masses.
Well, there's the thing about how the Appalachians were connected to the Scottish Highlands, which
Yep.
were connected to the fjords of Norway and Sweden and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
it's all the
So
same range.
It's really cool.
Great stuff.
Plate tectonics on the Dune Minute podcast.
Yeah, fun stuff. Okay, back to Dune. We cut from Paul not really believing Stilgar over to Shishkali looking worried. I thought she looked a little bit worried. Concerned, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's looking back at Stilgar and Paul as they're talking. And did you ever notice the diamond tattoo on her chin?
I think this is the first time that we get a good look at it, because
definitely a
the only other
close-up.
time that we've had, well, no, that's not true, because we had Shishkali out in the full-on daylight last week when there was the argument about how the Mahdi must be Fremen.
Yeah, but not a good close-up of her face.
No, but still enough of her face like in frame. Point is that this is, I think, the first time that we get a good look at her.
Yeah. It almost looked like a Sook school diamond tattoo, but on her
But
chin.
on her chin, and
Yeah,
it was open.
Yeah, it
instead
was
of-
hollow, not filled in.
yeah.
And you would know a lot about that, as today you got your tattoos filled in.
Not
with
true. I got them filled in yesterday. Thank you very much.
Sorry. Yesterday you got some tattoos filled in. They look really good, man.
Thank you. It stings right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I noticed that. Now I couldn't draw any significance to them.
The significance that I draw to them is that whoever did the costume designs probably said, "Hey, that'll look cool."
Well, my reaching headcanon was maybe she had some kind of like medicine or medicinal training.
I don't think that's
Medical training.
necessarily.
I know it's not, but it's like maybe that's some kind of parallel. Probably not. That's really reaching.
I think it's just a matter of so many human cultures have developed their own reasonings for tattooing
Yeah.
in our past and surely into the future. So that's just why they have it.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's very reminiscent of the Dune miniseries Fremen, because like Stilgar
Sure.
has a weird eyebrow tattoo thing, and a lot of other Fremen in the sci-fi miniseries all have tattoos on their faces.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, I'm just trying to look for connections wherever I can.
I think you might be trying a little too hard.
Well, where else can we do this?
Yeah, true. Minute by minute.
So
The curtains are blue, Zach.
sometimes the curtains are just fucking blue. So she is speaking to Chani in Chakopsa.
Chani is speaking to her this
Yes,
minute.
sorry. Chani is speaking to her in Chakopsa.
And Chani is off screen. We're
Yeah,
solely looking at Shishkali.
but we get subtitles now. And this is one of the rare occurrences up until this point where we get subtitles for the Chakopsa, and I think it would become a lot more common going forward. Chani says he doesn't know how to cross. Stilgar is going to get him killed. What is he trying to prove? And Shishkali replies, "What do you think?"
And that's our minute.
And that is our minute. So we're kind of left mid conversation with the two of them. I have nothing from the books because, again, this scene and Paul's crossing doesn't necessarily happen like this. I'll talk more later in the week about kind of what they're proving here, which does happen in the books. But this particular, like, oh, you have to walk across this erg doesn't exist.
I have some more stuff from the Dune Encyclopedia.
Let's do it.
So, the Dune Encyclopedia doesn't make any mention of trapdoor spiders, but it certainly makes mention of some of the other fauna, centipedes included, all introduced to Arrakis by Dr. Liet Kynes.
That makes sense.
Yep. There were also desert owls that were introduced by Liet Kynes, which we don't see here. All coming from the Dune Encyclopedia, though, so I think this was probably just a part of Kynes' way of trying to develop an ecology on this planet and,
Oh yeah.
you know,
I mean, that's what they
steer
were there
towards
for.
the green Arrakis that
Yeah.
there are the dreams of. So,
Okay. Yeah, we don't get to see a whole lot of the other, I don't know, like native animal or insect life on Dune.
we'll get a little bit
Very few.
later.
Yeah, very, very few. So cool. All right, so we get mentions of centipedes, giant killer centipedes. Watch out for the
Watch
small
out for
ones.
the small ones. Hold your arms about 2.5 feet apart from each other.
You ever, I don't know if your home gets these. Mine occasionally does, but those little like silverfish.
Silverfish?
Yeah.
Not the house that I live in now. Previous apartments and my home in Florida where I grew up. I think it's in more like damp areas that they like to hang out. But
Fair.
yeah.
Have you ever seen one of those fuckers that reaches maturity? I'm talking.
No, I've only always seen them like when they're, you know, tiny, like
Oh, no.
maybe an inch or two long.
One of them, I guess, evaded me a couple of months ago, and I saw him.
Evaded you and Soul?
Well, Soul doesn't give a shit.
All right,
He's a terrible hunter. He just looks at things and lets them be. This thing was probably 2.5 to 3 inches long, and had fully developed legs and antenna and everything.
Yeah.
And it scared the ever-loving shit out of me. I don't like creepy crawly insects. They freak me out.
All right, good to know.
They freak me out. Again, I don't kill them. I generally usher them outside. Silverfish, I don't think serve a very important purpose, so I did kill this one.
I don't know what they're...
Yeah,
Purposes.
I don't know. Anyways, gross. So I'm thinking of a centipede that I know in my head. And
Yeah, but now you can go to bed tonight thinking about a silverfish crawling its way into your ear.
so you can find us on social media. We are on Blue Sky at duneminute.com. We are on, we have an email address, duneminute@gmail.com, if you'd like to reach out to us that way. I am going to go have nightmares now, and we will see y'all tomorrow for another episode of the Dune Minute Podcast.
Sweet dreams, Zach.
See ya.